I never thought I'd find my breaking point at the bottom of our kitchen trash can, but there it was, torn and coffee-stained, mocking me from beneath banana peels and paper towels. A wedding invitation. My name is Sarah, and I probably wouldn't have even noticed it if I hadn't dropped my engagement ring while loading the dishwasher. But as I dug through the garbage, my fingers brushed against thick cardstock, and something made me pull it out. "What are you doing?" Ricky's voice startled me. He stood in the doorway, arms crossed, watching me piece together the wet fragments. "Nothing. The words died in my throat as I made out the groom's name. Marcus. My Marcus. Well, my ex-Marcus. You weren't supposed to see that." Ricky stepped forward, reaching for the pieces, but I clutched them closer. "Why did you throw this away without telling me?" "Because it's not your business anymore." "He's not your business." His jaw tightened. "You're with me now, remember?" I stared at the torn paper, memories flooding back. Marcus's last words to me 2 years ago. "I'll come back for you, Sarah. I promise." Then nothing. No calls, no texts, just silence. "Who's the bride?" I asked, though the bottom half of the invitation was too damaged to read. "Drop it, Sarah." Ricky's voice had that edge I'd learned to recognize, the one that meant the conversation was over. "You're not going to that wedding." "I didn't say I wanted to." "Good." He grabbed the pieces from my hands, crumpled them, and tossed them back in the trash. "Because you're not." End of discussion. Later that night, I lay awake beside Ricky, listening to his steady breathing. The invitation nagged at me like a loose tooth. Why had Marcus invited me? Why had Ricky hidden it? At 3 a.m., I crept downstairs. The house was silent except for the hum of the refrigerator as I retrieved the invitation fragments from the trash and spread them on the kitchen counter. My phone's flashlight illuminated the pieces as I arranged them like a puzzle. The wedding was in 2 weeks at St. Augustine's Church. Marcus was marrying. The coffee stain had blurred most of the bride's name, but one word was clear enough to stop my heart. "Selah?" "No," I whispered. No way. My hands shook as I opened Instagram, typing Selah's name. Her profile had been private since our falling out last year, but her bio was new. Future Mrs. Reyes. The room spun. Selah. My best friend since college. The person who held my hair back after Marcus left, who promised she'd always be there for me, until she wasn't. Our last conversation played in my head. "You're obsessed with him, Sarah," she had screamed. "He's gone. Move on. Why are you being like this?" "Because I can't watch you destroy yourself over him anymore. I'm done." Then she ghosted me, blocked my number, disappeared. And now she was marrying him. My phone buzzed. A text from Ricky. "Come back to bed." I jumped, wondering if he could somehow sense what I was doing. How long had he been awake? "Coming," I typed back, my fingers trembling. As I cleaned up the evidence and headed upstairs, one thought crystallized in my mind. I had to go to that wedding, not because I wanted Marcus back, that ship had sailed, but because something wasn't adding up. Ricky pulled me close as I slipped back into bed. "Everything okay?" "Just needed some water," I lied, feeling his arm tighten around my waist. "I love you," he murmured sleepily. "You know that, right?" "I know," I whispered back, staring into the darkness. But for the first time since we got engaged, those words felt like a warning instead of a promise. And as I lay there, Marcus's face floated in my mind, followed by Selah's, then Ricky's. 3 people I trusted completely, now connected by something I couldn't understand, not yet anyway. The church bells tolled as I slipped through the side entrance, my heart hammering against my ribs. 2 weeks of careful planning had led to this moment. I told Ricky I was at a work conference in Boston. Instead, I was here, hiding behind a marble pillar, watching guests file into St. Augustine's. Are you with the bride or groom? A young usher approached me. Groom, I said quickly, the lie bitter on my tongue. Old friend from college. He nodded and guided me to a pew near the back. Perfect. I could see everything while staying hidden in the shadows. The church filled quickly. I recognized faces from my past, people who'd been at parties, gatherings, moments that now felt tainted. Then I heard it, Sella's laugh floating down the hallway. The sound froze my blood. You won't believe what she did next, Sella's voice carried from the bride's room. Poor thing actually thought he loved her. My fingers dug into the wooden pew. Was she talking about me? The memory of our last real conversation crashed over me. Where were you last night? I demanded, standing in her apartment. I needed you. I can't always be your emotional support animal, Sarah. My father died. You're my best friend. Maybe that's the problem, she'd snapped. Maybe we need space. A week later, she was gone. No explanation, no goodbye. The wedding march began, jerking me back to reality. Marcus appeared at the altar, handsome in his tuxedo. My chest tightened. He looked exactly the same, yet somehow like a stranger. Then Sella appeared, floating down the aisle in white lace. She was radiant, ethereal, and completely fake. I knew that smile. It was the same one she'd worn while telling me Marcus had changed, that I needed to let him go. Dearly beloved, the priest began. I watched them exchange vows, my stomach churning. Marcus's voice cracked with emotion as he promised to love her forever. The same promise he'd made to me on a rainy night 2 years ago, before disappearing without a trace. If anyone objects to this union, speak now or forever hold your peace. I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. The ceremony ended. As the newlyweds turned to face their guests, Sella's eyes swept the crowd. For a heart-stopping moment, her gaze landed on my hiding spot. A slight smirk curved her lips. She knew. She'd known I would come. I slipped out during the chaos of the recessional, ducking into a side corridor. Voices approached. Marcus and his best man. Everything set for the reception? Marcus asked. Yeah, Dante confirmed it's all arranged. Good. We can't afford any surprises today. I pressed myself against the wall, holding my breath. What was arranged? What surprises were they trying to avoid? My phone vibrated. A text from Ava, my co-worker and only real friend these days. Did you do it? Are you there? Yes, I typed back. Something's wrong. They're hiding something. Be careful, she replied. Remember what happened last time you went digging. Last time. When I tried to find Marcus after he vanished, only to hit wall after wall. When Sella had warned me to stop asking questions. Another text buzzed through. Ricky. Miss you, babe. How's the conference? My hands shook as I replied, Great. Learning lots. The lies were piling up, but I couldn't stop now. Not when I was so close to what? What was I really doing here? The answer came in Sella's voice, drifting from around the corner. Is everything ready at the estate? We need to finish this today. Don't worry, a male voice responded. Sarah will never know what hit her. My name in her mouth felt like a slap. I pulled out my phone and opened my Maps app. The reception was at Blackwood Estate, an old mansion outside town. If they were planning something, that's where I'd find answers. I straightened my dress and touched the small recorder in my purse. Ricky always said I was too trusting, too naive. Time to prove him wrong. The church bells tolled again as I stepped into the sunlight, heading for my car. Whatever game they were playing, I was done being a pawn. Blackwood Estate loomed before me, its stone walls glowing amber in the setting sun. I merged with the stream of guests entering through the main doors, keeping my head down. A champagne tray floated past, and I grabbed a glass, more for props than pleasure. The marriage is strategic, nothing more. A man's voice caught my attention. I glanced over to see a well-dressed gentleman speaking quietly to another guest, Dante, Marcus's business partner. And Elise agreed to this? The other man asked. My mother's name hit me like a punch to the gut. What did she have to do with any of this? Excuse me. A server approached Dante. Mr. Vasquez, you're needed in the wine cellar. I watched Dante disappear through a door marked staff only. My fingers tightened around my phone as I texted Ava, Mom's involved somehow. Going to investigate. Sarah, don't, she replied instantly. Call the police if you're suspicious. But I was already moving, slipping through the staff door when no one was looking. The stairs led down into darkness, the temperature dropping with each step. Voices echoed from below. The trust fund transfers tomorrow, Dante was saying, once the marriage is official in the system. Keep your voice down, another man cut in. Ricky's voice, my Ricky. I pressed against the cold stone wall, barely breathing. What was my fiancé doing here? Everything's going according to plan, Marcus's voice joined them. Sarah's at some conference in Boston. By the time she figures anything out, it'll be too late. You're sure about this? Dante asked. It seems extreme. It's the only way, Cellar replied. She swallowed every lie. If this goes right, she'll never know about the trust. We're almost free of her, Ricky added. My hands shook so badly I almost dropped my phone. I hit record, capturing their voices. And Elise? Dante pressed. She's still refusing to sign? My dear mother-in-law will come around, Marcus said. She doesn't have a choice. Footsteps approached. I ducked into an alcove as they passed, catching glimpses of their faces in the dim light. They looked satisfied, like predators after a successful hunt. Once they were gone, I ventured deeper into the cellar. Wine racks lined the walls, but something felt off about their arrangement. One rack seemed to stick out slightly. I pulled it gently. It swung open like a door, revealing a hidden room. Oh my God, I whispered. Filing cabinets lined the walls. Old photographs were pinned to a corkboard. I recognized my mother in one, younger, standing next to a man who looked remarkably like Marcus. My phone buzzed. Where are you? Ava texted. Getting worried. Found something, I typed back. Hidden room. Old documents. Mom knew Marcus's family. I started taking pictures of everything. Letters, legal documents, photographs. My hands froze on a particular file labeled Boyd Reyes Trust Agreement. Inside was a letter dated 20 years ago. Dearest Elise, the trust must remain secret until both girls turn 30. They can never know their... The paper slipped from my fingers as heavy footsteps echoed above. The reception was moving to the dining room. I quickly photographed the remaining documents and slipped out, making sure everything looked untouched. My mind raced with questions. What girls? What trust? Why was my mother involved with Marcus's family? Back in the reception hall, I watched Salah and Marcus share their first dance. They moved perfectly in sync, like they'd been practicing their whole lives to deceive me. Ricky stood at the bar, checking his phone, probably texting me about the fake conference. The man I'd agreed to marry was part of whatever this was. My phone buzzed one last time. Ava had sent a link to an old news article. Boyd Reyes merger dissolves after tragic accident. Below it was a photo of two babies in hospital bassinets. The caption read, Twins separated by tragedy reunite at local hospital. The room started spinning. I grabbed another champagne flute to steady myself, staring at Salah across the room. Her eyes met mine for a split second, and in that moment I saw something I never noticed before. We had the same eyes. The cellar air grew thicker as I descended the stairs again, this time with purpose. The hidden room beckoned like a vault of secrets waiting to be cracked. My hands trembled as I pulled the wine rack door open, switching on my phone's flashlight. Looking for something? I spun around. Dante stood in the doorway, his expression unreadable. I got lost looking for the bathroom, I said, trying to keep my voice steady. No, you didn't. He stepped inside, closing the door behind him. You're Sarah. I've been waiting for you to figure it out. Figure what out? Why don't you keep looking? He gestured to the filing cabinets. Your mother kept excellent records. My heart pounded as I pulled open the nearest drawer. Inside, a thick folder labeled Hospital Records, 1994, caught my eye. Your father wasn't really your father, Dante said quietly. Robert Reyes was. The same name from the merger article. Marcus's father. That's impossible, I whispered, but the birth certificates in my hands told a different story. 2 baby girls, born 6 minutes apart. Sarah and Sela. Why? I managed to ask. Why all the secrets? Money, Dante replied. The Reyes fortune was tied to a trust that could only be accessed when both twins turned 30. Your mother, she made a choice. She separated us to protect you. Robert was dangerous, obsessed with the fortune. When he died in that car accident, Elise thought it was over. But Marcus found out somehow. I flipped through more documents. Photos of my mother with Robert, legal agreements, letters, and Ricky, insurance. They needed someone to keep you from looking too closely until after the wedding. The trust transfers tomorrow, but only if you remain unmarried. That's why they pushed you and Ricky together. My engagement ring felt like it was burning my finger. You helped them. I did. He looked ashamed. But watching you tonight, you deserve to know the truth. A text lit up my phone. Ava, police are on standby. Just say the word. Why tell me now? I asked Dante. Because I have proof of their plan. He pulled out a USB drive. Recordings, emails, everything. Marcus and Sela aren't really married. The officiant was an actor. It's all been staged to trigger the trust transfer. Footsteps echoed above us. Dante quickly pressed the drive into my hand. Be careful. They're desperate. I slipped the drive into my bra just as the door swung open. Ricky stood there, his face darkening when he saw me. Baby, what are you doing here? His voice was honey-coated poison. I thought you were in Boston. She got lost, Dante cut in smoothly. I was just showing her out. Ricky's eyes narrowed. I'll take her up. No, I stepped back. I can find my way. Sarah, Ricky reached for me. Don't make a scene. Like the scene you made with my sister? The word felt foreign on my tongue. Or the scene you're making with my inheritance. His face changed, mask slipping. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. I pulled out my phone, showing him the recording app. And so will the police. You're bluffing. Try me. We stared each other down until Ricky finally stepped aside. As I passed him, he grabbed my arm. This isn't over. You're right, I whispered. It's just beginning. I climbed the stairs on shaky legs, my mind racing. In my purse, the recorder held their earlier conversation. In my bra, the USB drive contained their scheme. And in my heart, 30 years of lies were finally unraveling. The reception was still in full swing. Sela caught my eye across the room and froze mid-laugh. For a moment, I saw past her perfect makeup and designer dress to something familiar, something that mirrored my own face. My phone buzzed again. Ava, got your signal, police en route. I watched my sister, my twin, dance with her fake husband, both of them oblivious to the storm about to break. Dante's words echoed in my head. They needed me to stay unmarried. Well, they were about to get their wish, but not in the way they planned. I slipped off my engagement ring and left it on a champagne tray. The night wasn't over yet. The reception hall buzzed with champagne-fueled laughter as I circled the room like a shark, recorder ready in my clutch. My first target was easy to spot. Marcus, holding court near the bar. "Congratulations," I said, sliding up beside him. His glass nearly slipped from his hand. "Sarah, what are you doing here?" Funny story. I grabbed a fresh champagne flute. Almost as funny as hiring an actor to play a priest. His face drained of color. Who told you?" "Does it matter? What matters is what you'll tell me." I gestured to a quiet corner. "Shall we?" He followed, trapped. The recorder in my purse caught everything. His admission about the fake marriage, the trust fund scheme, even his bitter laugh when I mentioned love. "It was never about love," he sneered. "It's always been about the money." "Your mother made sure of that." I left him stewing and moved on to my next target. Sela was touching up her makeup in the bathroom when I walked in. "Hello, sister," I said, watching her mascara wand freeze mid-stroke. "You don't know what you're talking about." "Don't I?" I pulled out the birth certificates. 6 minutes apart. "Did you know the whole time?" She turned, eyes blazing. "You got everything. The perfect life, the loving family." "I got shipped off to my aunt after the accident." "And this is your revenge? Stealing my inheritance?" "It's not stealing if it was mine to begin with." Her voice cracked. "Half of it anyway." I left her there, mascara running, and headed for the dance floor. The recorder had caught her confession, too. Guests were starting to whisper, noticing the tension. I overheard snippets. "The marriage seems odd. Did you see how the groom reacted to that woman? Something's not right." My phone buzzed. "Ava, police are 15 minutes out. Keep them there." I spotted my mother in a corner, nursing a martini. She looked up as I approached, her face a mask of carefully maintained indifference. "Why?" I asked simply. "You wouldn't understand." "Try me." She took a long sip. "Robert was going to take you both. The trust, it would have given him control until you turned 30. I couldn't let that happen. So you separated us? Let me grow up thinking I was an only child? I protected you." Her voice rose, drawing stares. "Robert was obsessed with the money. The accident wasn't an accident, Sarah. He was coming for you girls that night." The room seemed to tilt. "What are you saying?" I had to choose. Tears filled her eyes. Sela went to her aunt. "You stayed with me." "The trust was frozen, split between you, but it only transfers if you're both unmarried at 30. And Marcus? Robert's son. He found out somehow, convinced Sela to help him claim it all." She grabbed my arm. "Don't let them win." "Oh, I won't." I pulled away, spotting Ricky moving toward us. "Excuse me, I have a fiancé to destroy." I met him halfway across the room. "Looking for this?" I held up my engagement ring. "Sarah, baby, let me explain." "Save it." I dropped the ring in his champagne glass. "How much did they pay you to keep me distracted?" His face hardened. "You don't know what you're doing." "Actually, I do." I nodded toward the entrance, where police officers were filing in quietly. "And so do they." Chaos erupted as the officers approached Marcus and Sela. Dante appeared, handing over documents. Guests scattered like startled birds. "You bitch!" Sela screamed as handcuffs clicked around her wrists. "You ruined everything!" "No," I called back. "You did that yourself." I watched them lead away, my sister, my ex, and my former fiancé. My mother stood frozen, martini forgotten in her hand. "Miss Boyd?" An officer approached. We'll need your statement. I nodded, but my eyes were on Dante, who gave me a slight nod. The USB drive felt heavy against my chest, holding the final nails in their coffins. My phone lit up one last time. Ava, you okay? I looked around the destroyed reception, at the scattered evidence of decades of lies, and typed back, "No, but I will be." The truth, like karma, had finally caught up with everyone. The police had just finished taking statements when I noticed the wedding guests huddled around their phones. The mass email I'd scheduled had gone out, audio recordings of every damning conversation from tonight. "What have you done?" Marcus demanded as an officer led him past me. "Those recordings were private." "So was my life," I replied, watching his face contort. "But you all made it your business, didn't you?" Dante approached, loosening his tie. "The trust documents are being reviewed by the DA. They want to speak with you tomorrow." Perfect timing for one last toast, don't you think? He raised an eyebrow but handed me a microphone from the DJ booth. The remaining guests turned to watch, phones still glowing with evidence of betrayal. "I'd like to make a toast," I announced, my voice echoing through the speakers. "To love, to family, to half-sisters and hidden fortunes." Salah struggled against her handcuffs. "Shut up! You see, I learned something interesting today about family secrets, about trust funds." I locked eyes with my sister. "About twins, separated at birth." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Phones raised higher, recording. My dear sister Sella and I were supposed to share everything. Instead, she chose to share my ex-fiancé's bed while planning to steal my inheritance. "That money was mine too," Sella shouted. "Yes, it was. Half of it, anyway." "But you got greedy." I turned to Marcus. "And you. Did you really think hiring an actor to play a priest would make this legal?" The crowd erupted in whispers. Marcus lunged forward but was held back by officers. "And Ricky." I found his eyes in the chaos. "How much did they promise you to keep me away from this wedding?" "Sarah, please," he begged. "I loved you." "No, you loved what I was worth." I pulled out my phone, playing his recorded confession through the speakers. "She's swallowed every lie. If this goes right, she'll never know about the trust." The room fell silent. Even the officers paused to listen. "But here's the real punchline," I continued. "While you were all so busy plotting, I was busy too. The trust? I claimed my half last week. Legally, properly." I smiled at Dante. "Thanks for the tip, by the way." Dante raised his glass. "Pleasure doing business with you." "You betrayed us?" Marcus spat at him. "No, I chose justice. There's a difference." My mother stepped forward, surprisingly steady despite the chaos. "Sarah, Save it." I cut her off. "We'll talk about the 30 years of lies later." Sella's Aunt Esther burst through the crowd. "The trust wasn't supposed to be accessed yet. The terms were very clear," I interrupted. "Unmarried at 30. Well, thanks to this little scheme, I'm definitely unmarried. And thanks to you all keeping me in the dark about my real birth date, I turned 30 last month. Not next year like I thought." The color drained from Esther's face. "But that means I met all the conditions. Legally. While you were planning this fake wedding, I was claiming what was rightfully mine. Half the trust, just as it should be." "And the other half?" someone called out. I looked at my handcuffed sister, still waiting for its rightful owner, when she's ready to claim it legally, without schemes, without lies. Salah's mascara-stained face crumpled. For a moment, I saw the sister I never knew I had, lost, angry, desperate for what she thought she deserved. "Officers," I nodded toward the exit, "I believe you have everything you need." As they led the conspirators away, Dante handed me a champagne glass. That was quite a show. The show's not over. I pulled out the USB drive. This goes to the DA tomorrow. Every email, every plan, every lie. They'll go to jail. Good. I raised my glass to the stunned crowd. To Karma. She's a patient bitch, but she always collects. My phone buzzed. Ava. Holy shit. You're trending on Twitter. I looked around the destroyed wedding reception. Overturned chairs, scattered flowers, shocked faces illuminated by phone screens sharing my story across social media. Miss Boyd, an officer approached. One more thing. Your ex-fiancé is demanding to speak with you. I finished my champagne. Tell him he can talk to my lawyer. I'm done listening to lies. The officer nodded and left. Through the window, I watched police cars pull away, carrying my past with them. But this wasn't the end. It was just the beginning of their consequences. The parking lot was nearly empty when I stepped outside for air. My story had exploded online. Wedding revenge was trending, and my inbox was flooded with reporters' requests. Sarah, Ricky's voice cut through the night. He was running toward me, having somehow slipped away from the officers. Stay back. I pulled out my phone, finger hovering over the emergency dial. Just listen, he panted, stopping a few feet away. We can fix this. All of it. Fix what? The fake engagement? The lies? Or the fact that you helped my sister try to steal my inheritance? I did it for us. He stepped closer. Think about it. We could have shared it all. You, me, Marcus, Sella. One big happy family. I laughed bitterly. You really think I'd share anything with people who betrayed me? We didn't betray you. His voice turned cold. We just saw an opportunity. Your mother's the real villain here. She's the one who separated you and Selah. Don't you dare. She killed Robert Reyes, he snapped. Ask her about the brake lines on his car. Ask her what really happened that night. The world tilted sideways. What? Why do you think she's been drinking herself to death for 30 years? His laugh was ugly. Guilt's a powerful thing. You're lying. Am I? He pulled out his phone, showing me an old newspaper article. Brake failure, they said. But Dante found the mechanic who testified. Your mother paid him to tamper with the car. Stop it! She killed him to keep you, to keep the money. He grabbed my arm. But we can still fix this. Just drop the charges. Tell them you made a mistake. I twisted away. Let go of me. Or what? His grip tightened. You'll call the cops? Tell them about your murderer mother? No. A new voice cut through the darkness. She'll let me do it. Dante stepped out of the shadows, phone recording everything. Behind him, 2 officers approached quietly. You really should have checked for witnesses, Ricky. I smiled through my tears. Or security cameras. His face contorted as the officers grabbed him. You bitch! You don't know what you've started. Actually, I do. I held up my phone, showing him the recording app. And so will the DA. Witness intimidation's a serious charge. Your mother's going down with us, he shouted as they dragged him away. Ask her about the brake lines. I stood there shaking until Dante touched my shoulder. You okay? My mother. Did she really? The mechanic's dead, he said quietly. Heart attack last year. There's no proof either way. My phone buzzed. Ava. You need to see this. Salah's talking. The link led to a live stream. My sister, still in her wedding dress, was being interviewed in custody. She's right about everything, Sella was saying, mascara streaking her cheeks. We planned it all. The fake wedding, the trust fund scheme. But Sarah doesn't know the worst part. My heart stopped as she looked directly into the camera. Mom, tell her the truth. About Dad, about Robert, about everything. The live stream cut off. Seconds later, My mother's contact photo lit up my screen. Don't answer it, Dante warned. I have to know. I picked up. Her voice was small, broken. Sarah, honey, we need to talk. About what? The brake lines? Her sharp intake of breath said everything. Meet me at home, she whispered. I'll tell you everything. I hung up and turned to Dante. I need a favor. Name it. Come with me. Record everything. I need to know the truth. He nodded, and we walked to my car. Behind us, police lights still flashed against the church walls. Somewhere, Sella was probably still talking. Marcus was probably still plotting. Ricky was probably still threatening. But ahead of me waited the biggest confrontation of all. The truth about who I really was and what my mother had done to keep me. You sure about this? Dante asked as I started the engine. No. I gripped the steering wheel. But I'm done with lies. My phone buzzed one last time. An unknown number. The message made my blood run cold. You don't know what you've started. I showed it to Dante. He pulled out his own phone, typing quickly. What are you doing? Calling for backup, he said grimly. Something tells me this night isn't over yet. He was right. It wasn't over. It was about to get much worse. The front door of my childhood home creaked open before I could use my key. My mother stood there, a manila envelope in her trembling hands. I've been waiting 30 years to give you this, she said, voice raw. Behind me, Dante hung back, recording discreetly. The living room felt smaller than I remembered. On the coffee table sat 2 glasses and a bottle of whiskey, Mom's confession juice. Just tell me one thing, I said, sitting down. Did you kill him? She poured herself a drink, downed it in one go. Yes. The word hung in the air like smoke. Robert was going to take you both, she continued. He'd found a judge who'd grant him custody. The trust fund would have given him control until you were 30. Her hand shook as she opened the envelope. But that wasn't the worst part. She pulled out a DNA test. Robert wasn't Sella's father. You were twins, but not identical. What? I had an affair. Robert found out, threatened to expose everything unless I signed over both of you and the money. She laughed bitterly. He would have destroyed us all. So you destroyed him first. I paid the mechanic, made it look like an accident. She pulled out more papers, old photos, letters, court documents. Then I sent Sella to her aunt, kept you with me, split the trust. My phone buzzed, a text from Ava. Sella just confessed everything, turning state's evidence against Marcus. Did she know? I asked Mom. About her real father? She found out last year. That's when Marcus approached her with the wedding scheme. Mom's voice cracked. I thought I was protecting you both. Instead, I created this mess. Blue light suddenly flashed through the windows. Police cars surrounded the house. Mom, it's okay. She stood up, straightening her spine. I called them myself, right after you hung up. The doorbell rang. 2 officers entered, faces grim. Mrs. Boyd, we need you to come with us. She nodded, then turned to me. The trust is yours now. Both halves. Use it better than we did. As they led her away, she looked back one last time. I'm sorry, baby, for everything. The house fell silent. Dante stopped recording. You okay? He asked softly. No. I picked up the envelope, 30 years of secrets spilling onto my lap. But I will be. My phone lit up again. Sella's number this time. After everything, my twin sister was finally reaching out. Hello? I'm sorry, she whispered. I was so angry, so jealous. I thought if I took everything from you, it would fix something in me. Did it? No, she paused. They're offering me a deal. If I testify against Marcus and Ricky, take it, I said. And this. What about the trust? I looked at the papers scattered around me, evidence of how money had poisoned 2 generations of our family. Keep your half, I said, but use it for something good. Break the cycle. She started crying. I'd like to know my sister. The real you, not the version I built up in my head. I'd like that too. After we hung up, Dante helped me gather the documents. What now? He asked. Now? I pulled out my phone, showing him the latest news alert. Wedding scandal exposes decades of financial fraud. Now we make sure the truth stays told. And the money? I thought about my mother's guilt, Selah's anger, the way greed had twisted everyone I loved. I'm donating my half, I decided, to organizations that help separated families reunite. Seems fitting. Your mother would be proud. Maybe. I looked around the house one last time, but I'm not doing it for her. I'm doing it for me. My phone buzzed. Another wedding invitation. This one a joke from Ava. Since your last wedding was a bust, inside was a note. You're the storm now. I smiled, tucking the invitation away. She was right. I had been the lightning that exposed their lies, the thunder that shook their foundations, the rain that washed away their carefully constructed facades. But storms also clear the air. They make room for new growth, new beginnings. And standing in the wreckage of my old life, I was finally ready to grow.